Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. I'm your host, Clifford Lee Sargent. Great to see you as always. Hope you're doing well. Get that coffee. Today's Dream Story by the Austrian author Arthur Schnitzler, published in 1926. This is a late Viennese modernist tale that inspired Kubrick's last film, Eyes Wide Shut, which many of you have seen, I'm sure. It's a great film. I skimmed through it while I was reading this, and it's a pretty faithful adaptation. Of course, it was modern day at the time when it was made in the 90s, but there are only minor changes. It's quite close. I recently finished my series on Camille Paglia's sexual personae for my patrons on Patreon. I owe many of my observations in this review to what I learned from her in that book, regarding decadent literature, gender, and psychology. So if you're interested in checking out the series, which is essentially a very long review, link below. Thanks. Arthur Schnitzler was a Viennese author and playwright who initially became a doctor before devoting himself to writing full-time. His medical background informed this book. His work often explored psychological and sexual themes. For this reason, like on the back of this beautiful Penguin Modern Classics edition, Schnitzler is frequently compared to his Viennese contemporary and acquaintance, Sigmund Freud. A famous quote by Schnitzler is the following: "I write of love and death. What other subjects are there?" Dream Story is about a married couple, a doctor named Fridolin and his wife Albertina, who live with their daughter in Vienna in the early 20th century. Fridolin is the protagonist of the story. They visit a masquerade ball together where nothing particularly interesting happens, but the pair get an inclination to confess fleeting acts of near infidelity from their past to each other in a kind of energetic invocation of mutual jealousy. Gradually, the entirety of their marriage, who they are and how they feel about each other, is called into question when Fridolin pursues a real-life yet dreamlike adventure involving a different masquerade ball, one that's far more mysterious and sinister. Dream Story is an existential decadent novel containing themes of secrecy, hidden desire, sexual transgression, voyeurism, and esoteric occult ritual. It's a good time. It's a story about the insecurity we feel from never truly knowing another person. There's the self we present in the real world, in day-to-day life, and then there's the real self, which is sometimes revealed in dreams. In this story, dreams and reality begin to dangerously merge. But real quick, speaking of human dreams merging with reality, I'd like to tell you about the sponsor of today's show, Hungryminds. Hungryminds sent me their enormous book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding Civilization. I've only had time to flip through it so far, but even just browsing it, I can see why it took off. Their goal for the project on Kickstarter was $8,000. It raised $2.3 million. There were over 50 professionals involved in its creation. It became an Amazon bestseller. It's an enormous, beautifully produced book. Over 400 pages, 180 topics across 23 chapters, covering everything from engineering and infrastructure to music, culture, and social systems. It feels thoughtful in its design, definitely not your standard history book. The illustrations are what grabbed me. They feel like medieval manuscript art mixed with technical drawings. There's even a section on psychotherapy. The paper and overall print quality are premium. It's definitely the kind of book you leave out on a coffee table because people will want to flip through it. It's the kind of book you don't just read once. You keep discovering new details. Even more so because there's an interactive quest hidden inside of it. I haven't explored that yet, but I plan to. It makes it feel like more than just an encyclopedia. Overall, it feels like an incredible gift for someone who's curious about how the world works, how dreams of civilization became reality, or someone who just appreciates beautifully made books. If you want to check it out, the link's in the description. Be sure to use my promo code for 10% off, and thanks to Hungry Minds for sponsoring the show. The first thing that struck me about Dream Story was Schnitzler's frequent allusions to the arriving spring, the hot weather, right? In part, this is a story about eroticism waking up and returning to a husband and wife after lying dormant, which is why the weather is such a recurring element in the book. In the story, things are heating up. It's spring. Mating season, right? Note that, interestingly, in Kubrick's film, it's winter. I couldn't figure that one out. But this eroticism is not the traditional, acceptable, repressed bourgeois sexuality of the era, the one that Freud was at war with. No. It's a strange internal psychological metamorphosis occurring within two people. Dark, instinctual desires with the flames fanned by jealousy and conflict. A pagan lust for sex and violence. And you can see this not only in Fridolin's adventures with the masquerade ball, but also within Albertina's dream, where she allows Fridolin to be crucified and laughs about it, like the Romans did to the Christians, right? I think the following idea may have come from Georges Bataille's book Eroticism. It's been a while since I've read it, but I think I've just internalized the idea or something similar. Jealousy wakens desire because it heightens the sense of loss that we all face as individuals joined together who will inevitably die. A breakup, a divorce is, in many ways, a death, right? A cessation, an end. Look at the scene with Mariana and Fridolin. Death can heighten love as well as eroticism, which is Bataille's central point in his book that I mentioned, Eroticism. Love can also create a kind of callous power dynamic. It's almost predatorial, Like, look at Albertina to Fridolin And also look at Fridolin to Mariana. I mean, it's the same behavior, right? There's a clear power dynamic stemming from one party being more infatuated with the other. It happens naturally, it seems. It's disturbing. The one who is loved senses that they're loved and recognizes the power they have over the other individual and uses it almost unconsciously, it seems. In part, it's a midlife crisis story about a man chasing after youth, which, along with the atmosphere, reminded me of Thomas Mann's Death in Venice. Dream Story is just as much about death as it is about sex. These two forces, of course, were the sum focus of Freud, with his concepts of the perpetually warring life and death drives Eros and Thanatos, which can be seen clearly in the narrative. Fridolin is following his desires even if they mean death. Again, in his book Eroticism, Bataille defined eroticism as, quote, assenting to life up to the point of death. It's an amazing line. It's a legendary line. Albertina does the same, but she does so internally, while Fridolin does it externally. This is the difference between men and women. Albertina is in the dream world, while Fridolin is in the real world, but it's dream-like. It's almost as if Albertina's dream has engulfed Fridolin in the real world. The entire book is one enormous buildup of unreleased sexual tension. This is definitively revealed in Eyes Wide Shut with the very last line by Nicole Kidman, which is, to quote her, "You know, there's something very important we need to do as soon as possible." Yeah, you know it. Schnitzler portrays a breakdown of the bourgeois repression of the era. It's a portrait of the intense desire to abandon that repression. Schnitzler was a very confessional character, and that seems to be the entire thrust of his book. The need to be unchained, the desire to be psychologically free, to be honest with oneself and others. The impossibility of being human, right? But as we all know, there's a cost to that freedom. The following quote is from Oscar Wilde. "Man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask, and he will tell you the truth." A dream is a kind of mask. You are simultaneously you and someone else. So, who are you? Are you the person with the mask, or the person without? That's correct, Wendy. We all wear masks. Metaphorically speaking. What might you discover if you put on a mask and relinquished your fears? That's a frightening question for some. For others, it sounds like the key to the freedom they spend every day searching for. For many, it's both, I imagine. Freedom is both alluring and terrifying. In the book, Albertina discovers freedom through a dream. Fridolin discovers freedom through a reality so surreal it behaves like a dream. At one point, he even seems to briefly question its reality. The book asks, what is love? What is love? It explores the irreconcilable tension between being in a committed relationship with someone you love and the desire to pursue other amorous adventures simultaneously, which perfectly mirrors Freud's irreconcilable tension found within his dichotomy of Eros and Thanatos. The desire to have it all and the desire to burn it all down and be free. This is our biological and psychological inheritance as individuals. There is no permanent solution to this tension. This is life and living itself, right? Schnitzler seems to posit that honesty and sacrifice temper this irreconcilable issue. For Schnitzler, that appears to be true love. Honesty and sacrifice. You can see this with the unknown woman at the masquerade ball and with Fridolin's confession at the end. Ironically, Fridolin experiences a moment of this true love in a world of lies with a stranger wearing a mask. And this is what seems to allow him to find love with Albertina, the woman he's trying to love but is unsure if he can, and also unsure whether or not she loves him. Albertina wears no mask in the daytime, but hides her true thoughts as though she is wearing one. It's only when she tells her dream story that the unbearable truth is revealed to Fridolin. And yet, that's not even the entirety of the truth either. It's even more complicated than that. The book also asks, what is truth? And seems to suggest that perhaps it can be found by way of lies, or by way of dreams. Finally, the book asks, what is the difference between dream and reality if a dream tells you more truth than the reality you inhabit? You've likely experienced this yourself. Have you ever had a dream that told you more truth about your life than your thoughts while you were awake? They have that power. Speaking of power, it is clear within the novel that Albertina, despite Fridolin's exploits, is the one who holds the power. There's a wisdom Schnitzler gave her that is absent in Fridolin. She's a mystery he can never know entirely. He's kind of bumbling, by comparison, not an alpha male. The ending is deeply ambiguous, always a hallmark of great literature, leaving us with answers but many more questions. For example, and skip ahead a bit if you don't want spoilers, at the end of the book, Fridolin asks Albertina if she's sure they're all right after all these events, after he's confessed everything to her, right? Her reply is the following. As sure as I am of my sense that neither the reality of a single night nor even of a person's entire life can be equated with the full truth about his innermost being. How sure is she? Not sure at all, I gather, and neither is Fridolin and neither is Schnitzler. This is why the novel's so good. Total ambiguity. I love that ending. And it makes us ask, can a person's actions in one night tell more about their true self than the entirety of their lives? And can a person's actions throughout their entire life tell nothing about their true selves or desires? Absolutely. It brings to mind the line from Walden by Henry Thoreau, which is, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." Everybody knows that quote. You hear it all the time these days. Given Fridolin's passionate journey forth and the vicious honesty of Albertina's dream, absolutely nothing is certain. Not about love, not about dreams, not about sex and death. That line I read and other lines in the ending reveal that this is Schnitzler's truth. Absolutely nothing is certain. Good and evil, purity and impurity, all of it is an undulating process of shifting definition. Relationships, like the seasons, oscillate, rise and fall, live and die. There's only the illusion of permanence. But that's the spice of life, isn't it? And you know what? After writing that in the script, I discovered another quote by Schnitzler, which is the following. "When you cannot love or hate anymore, then where is the charm of life?" Precisely. Better than food. 4 out of 5 coffees. I recommend it. So what did I dislike? The biggest question of the book, of course, is, who are the cult and what are they doing? There is not enough information in the book to form a solid guess. What Fridolin has discovered seems gravely consequential, but there's no real suggestion as to who or what they represent. There's no real follow-up on this. That's fine in terms of mystery, but Schnitzler missed an opportunity for pushing this further, at least by leading us in different directions, even if ultimately inconclusive. I don't feel very strongly about this, though, because the book's length as it is now is perfect, and it might suffer from dragging it out for the sake of the mystery of the cult, you know? So who should read it? If you enjoy Freud, Huysmans, and Death in Venice by Thomas Mann, check it out. Thank you very much to all my patrons on Patreon for making this show possible. I truly appreciate it. If you'd like to become a patron and support the show, the link is below. Thanks. You'll get access to Patron-Only Reviews and more. Please subscribe if you have not already, and hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and always remember, die reading. Thanks for watching. Great to see you. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Ciao.